Okay, I just want to welcome everybody here tonight. There may be a few more people turning up, so we want to get started. We don't want to make you guys wait. So thank you so much for taking the time out to be here tonight. I know there's lots of distractions at this time of the year, but what we've got to talk about is well worth making the time for. So what I want to do now, we've got a few special guests here tonight. One of them I'd love to introduce, come all the way from the United States, and if it wasn't for this couple of people, the special people, we wouldn't have what we've got in New Zealand and all the lives that have been changed, including mine and some of you in the room. None of that would have happened unless these guys had regularly visited New Zealand many years ago. So I want to welcome Michael Jude from the United States.
Thanks. And slight correction, actually, I met Christa here 20 years ago in New Zealand. We've been married for almost 21 years ago. And but it gives me a lot of pleasure to introduce Christa because she's Kiwi, as well as my wife, wonderful partner in life. But she's also a very serious student of nutrition. I think 40 years now as a herbologist and nutritionist. She's had her own clinics, she's had her own raw food restaurants, she's had a consulting practice, she's a product formulator. And as a matter of fact, the product that you've come to hear about tonight, BeNew, the Be Lean, the BePure, the Be Full, that system, Christa actually designed a lot of the active ingredients in the Be Lean, which is the key to the program. I've been using the product personally. I can strongly endorse it. It's a powerful product, it gets powerful results. And I think you're going to like what you hear about. And then afterward, if you want, we can actually give you a taste of the product. But let me welcome up Christa Way. Thank you, Christa.
Thank you. Woo! Thank you. I'm very excited. What I want to talk about tonight, is the program called BeNew. And it hasn't even been released on the market yet. So you are all some of the first people to even hear about it. We have been doing testing with the program for the last 2 months. And we, the company actually, not me, but the company that makes the product, chose a large group of about 100 people, and people from all walks of life, people from 21 was the youngest age, up to late 70s, lots of different ages in between, people who were really into health, people that weren't, people that were not much bigger than me, and people that were, very large. And so they really wanted to get an idea of how does this work for the majority of people. Like, no matter what your lifestyle, no matter what's going on in your body, how does this work? What are the results? What are people's responses to the products? And it's been phenomenal. It's been way beyond what I even kind of imagined it would be. It's just blowing everyone out of the water. So tonight is really an information evening to learn about this system called BeNew, the program itself, and just give you some insights into how it works and why it works and why we're so really excited about it. Because one of the things that is becoming more and more and more and more prevalent is people's inability to lose weight. And it's growing. Even children now, and a lot of it is to do with malnourishment. A lot of it is to do with the body not getting the right nutrients in order to maintain its proper balance. That's really where it all starts, because that pushes the hormones out of balance. This is a whole other array of things that happen when our bodies are not fed properly. So, so the program. There's 3 products that actually make up the core of the program. And we don't have all 3 products here at the moment. We were very lucky to grab these first ones that came off the conveyor belt so that we could have them here to actually show you. The one that's not here is called BePure, and that's the first one I'm going to talk about, because all of these 3 products obviously work together and synchronistically to enhance each other in the way that they work in the body. So one of the things that most people are aware of is that if we want to get the optimum value or the optimum results from anything, one of the first things we need to look at is cleansing our body, because our bodies build up toxins all the time. Build up toxins from what we metabolize inside, so there's metabolic toxins that our bodies just produce simply by the fact of being a human body. And then there's toxins that we take in from the outside as well. And if we don't find a way to get rid of those toxins efficiently, then they stop other processes from happening. They stop our bodies from being able to absorb nutrients from our food, for instance. All kinds of things like that. And it directly impacts the fat cells in our body. So BePure is a cleanse product. So that's the first thing. And the BePure is just used for the very first week of the program. So it's a product that's just used for 1 week. And what it does is that it not only cleanses the entire GI tract, which is really important because stuff builds up in our intestines, and this product starts loosening that stuff so our bodies can get rid of it. But also it helps our liver function properly, because our liver is one of the biggest detoxifying organs in our body, and it's directly involved in how our bodies get rid of toxins. The product, all of these products come as a powder form, and you mix them up and you drink them. Because one of the things that we know is that anything we can get in a liquid, our bodies are going to get the full benefit of what's in there, which is very different to pills and capsules. So I actually just printed these out so that I would have all of the ingredients so I didn't miss anything out. So forgive me for referring to papers, but I just want to go through some of the things that are in the BePure so that you've got an idea of what this mixture is. It actually tastes really good. Some of the ingredients might sound a bit weird, but it actually tastes really good. So there's a lot of fiber in there. One of the things that obviously we need to move stuff through is fiber, and most of us are familiar with that. So there's lots of different kinds of fiber, because the different kinds of fiber act in different ways. Some of them absorb excess cholesterol. Some of them act as what we call prebiotics, which means they're food for the good bacteria in our gut. So there's all kinds of different ways that the different fibers will work inside of our body. So with this apple fiber, plum fiber, barley fiber, carrot fiber, psyllium fiber. So there's a lot of different ones, and they all work in different ways. Then we've also got aloe vera and our 9 sea vegetables. Is everyone familiar with Body Balance, our original product, Body Balance? Anyone not familiar with it?
Don't know lots.
Don't know lots.
No.
Okay. All right then. So it's the product that really has been the foundation of our company ever since it started, and it's organic aloe and 9 different wild sea vegetables or seaweeds, and it's an amazing foundation for building those nutrients that we're missing, but also as a healing for the GI tract as well. So aloe and our 9 sea vegetables are in this BePure as well, because we know the healing power of seaweed and aloe on the intestinal tract. And then there's a lot of different herbs in there that perform different functions in the body. So when we drink this drink called BePure, it's going to go through our system, but it's also, a lot of it's going to be absorbed into our bloodstream as it works its way through. And so that's where a lot of these herbs come into play, affecting the liver and other parts of the body, so that it's a full body cleanse. So things like dandelion root and yellow dock root, which directly affect strengthening the liver and the liver functions. Fennel seed and ginger, which really help the digestive process. Stinging nettle, which is a wonderful cleanser, blood cleanser. Burdock root also is a wonderful blood cleanser. And then things like milk thistle, which again directly involved in liver strength and liver function. Cascara, Sagrada, and Senna. Now what they do is that they actually help what's called the peristaltic muscles, which are the muscles that form the wall of our colon. And they're muscles that push stuff out. And so these make those peristaltic muscles strong. That's what these things do. So it helps the body push out any built up stuff that's in there. It's very gentle. It's not something that, you have to stop work and stay close to the toilet for the next week. You can still have your life and do this at the same time. So that's the first part of the program, and that has a very specific role to play, because what we want is for everyone to get the best possible results with the rest of the program. So then we've got something called Be Full, and that's this thing here. Comes in a big bag like that. It comes in 2 flavors, chocolate and vanilla, and it's a meal replacement. That's basically what it is. Let me tell you what's in it. So it's a protein drink, but it also has a very full complement of vitamins and minerals, so that it is a complete meal replacement. You get pretty much everything you would need in one meal for the day in that shake. So the protein in there is whey protein and pea protein mixed together. And there are omega oils in there, so 369, which are the good fats that our bodies need. There's lecithin in there from sunflower seeds, which is brain food, but also one of the good fats that our bodies need. And it's sweetened with stevia. It also has enzymes in there as well, because one of the things that happens with protein is it takes a lot of the body's energy to metabolize protein, which is one of the reasons why a lot of the latest diets, like weight loss diets that are becoming popular, are high protein diets, because when we eat protein, that actually boosts our metabolism right there. By eating protein, your metabolism gets raised by about 30%. So how it speeds up just by eating protein. So that's one of the reasons why high protein diets are kind of the big thing right now. However, like anything, you can go overboard with it. And eating too much protein and not enough of other things can also be a bad thing. So protein raises the metabolism in the body. And as you'll hear, there are some other things in here that also complement that, because one of the things that happens when the body's metabolism is raised is that there's a process whereby the fats that are stored in our fat cells are released into the bloodstream in order to create the energy the body needs to metabolize the protein. That's why protein actually is very good for stabilizing blood sugar, because it doesn't use glucose for energy, it uses fat for energy. One of the things that most people are very aware of is, one of the first things you need to look at in any kind of weight loss program is your diet. Diet and exercise and drinking plenty of water are kind of the three basics. And one of the first things to cut out is sugar. And a lot of people don't realize why, because when you eat sugar, whether it's simple sugar, like, a cake with sugar in it, or whether it's a carbohydrate that breaks down into sugar, what happens when the body takes in sugar is that triggers the release of insulin. And that's what sugar does in the body, is it triggers the release of insulin into the bloodstream. And what insulin does is that it activates an enzyme whose job is to go through the bloodstream, grab bits of fat and deposit it into the fat cells. So sugar is directly related to weight gain. I kind of got off on a bit of a tangent there. So one of the things that happens with protein metabolism is that it actually does the opposite. So when you take in protein, what happens is that there is actually a hormone that is released in the body when protein is metabolized that takes the fat out of the fat cell to use as energy. So it does the exact opposite of what sugar does. So that's why protein supplementation is really important as part of a weight management program. It tastes great. It tastes like a milkshake. It's really yummy. And that's important because, when people are doing something like, it's got to be easy, right? The more stressful it is, the less people are going to do it. And you don't want to add stress to your body, you want to take away stress from your body, right? So that's the BeFull. Now the real diamond, the real gem in this whole thing is this little baby here called BeNew. And these, again, powder that you make up into a liquid and drink it. They come in little sachets like this. Tastes like raspberries because it's got dried raspberry powder in it. And this has a number of different ingredients that are so powerful in this whole process. One of the first things that is listed as an ingredient in here is green coffee bean extract. I don't know how many of you are familiar with green coffee bean extract. It's kind of the new kid on the block when it comes to weight loss at the moment. There's some really exciting clinical studies that have been done on green coffee bean extract to show how it actually, again, it's all to do with enzymes and hormones, but how it actually balances out the body's sugars. So glucose, insulin, the blood sugar insulin balance. So again, what happens is that when we eat a meal, not just a sugar meal, any kind of meal, what happens is that there's this whole digestive process. And in order for the body to keep going, there needs to be a certain amount of sugar in your blood. Otherwise, you'd have no energy, right? It's like a lot of things. You need a certain amount of calcium in your blood at all times. You need a certain amount of iron in your blood at all times. You also need a certain amount of sugar in your blood at all times. Otherwise, you'd be flat on your back. So the body needs to maintain this balance of sugar in your blood all the time. It doesn't want too much and it doesn't want too little. There's a balance that needs to be maintained. And it's a very kind of complicated process to keep that balance. One of the ways that it does that is to do with the liver function. Again, we're going back to the liver. So as I'm going through these pieces, try and kind of remember the other bits so you can see how it all ties together, because the liver is crucial. And it's very much a part of keeping this sugar balance in the body, because when you eat a meal, what happens is, as part of that process, the body puts a certain amount of glucose into your bloodstream. So when you eat food, you're supposed to be energized by your meal. What often happens is the exact opposite. And as we age, or as our bodies get out of balance, a lot of different things start breaking down. And this is one of them. This balance between keeping your blood sugar regular and the amount of sugar that gets pumped into your blood. So there's this balance that has to be kept. And that sugar that gets pumped into your blood comes from your liver. So we need to keep the liver healthy. And we need to stop this constant overload of sugar, which is what happens to most people nowadays. They get too much sugar into their bloodstream. And so green coffee bean extract is one of the things they found that actually balances that out, which is pretty cool. There's some other things in there, and green coffee bean extract does other stuff as well. I'm hitting the main points here. There also is, so I mentioned the raspberry powder in there. There's something called raspberry ketones. Has anyone heard of raspberry ketones? Again, there's some clinical studies that have just started to be, kind of made available to the public. When the body burns fat, as in the protein thing that I was talking about, it's called ketosis. It's the burning of fat in the body. So ketones, the word kind of is related, right? So one of the things that's been found is that raspberry ketones does a very similar thing, whereby it actually is able to pull fat from the fat cells into the bloodstream so the body can get rid of it. It's not a lot of things that can do that, but raspberry ketones are one of the things that do that. See, most people don't understand that when we put on weight, we're not adding fat cells. We're born with somewhere between 30 and 40 billion fat cells. It's million fat cells in our body. And we have the same amount of fat cells when we die. And there's something very outrageous happens to our body. What happens as we put on weight is we don't add more fat cells, the fat cells get bigger. That's what happens. And so what we want to do is shrink them, right? We want to get those fat cells down so that they're small. They're not holding so much stuff. That's why things like liposuction and some of those surgeries and things that people are having now they don't work. They work for this much time. And then what happens, you can't just take away parts of the body and expect it to go on functioning without some kind of reaction. And so what happens is the body's like, oh my gosh, I've lost my fat cells, I need to get them back, and it creates more. True. And so those things are they work like for a very short amount of time, but then you've got that whole problem back again. plus extra because you've got these parts of your body now that are very damaged. And so you've got two things to worry about. So understanding even just that little piece, that what we need to focus on is getting those fat cells smaller and getting the body's metabolism working properly to keep it like that. Yeah? Okay, one of the pieces of that picture is the way the body actually metabolizes carbohydrates. Because remember, when the body breaks down sugar, it creates fat. If we can find a way to interrupt that process in a healthy way, so the body doesn't create so much sugar, then it doesn't create so much fat. So again, we're cutting that process down. So there is something called white kidney beans, and that's what they do. They actually interrupt that process of carbohydrate metabolism in the intestinal tract so that the body doesn't get those big spikes of sugar all the time. What else do we have in here? Sorry, I just have to keep looking at this. Oh, green tea. Green tea is wonderful. That's another thing, that green tea contains a lot of healing compounds called polyphenols. And what they do is they also help up your metabolism rate, as well as huge antioxidant compounds and all kinds of things that feed health into your body. But one of the main things in this particular case is it helps keep that metabolism going. Because as, again, aging and imbalance in our body, stress, all kinds of things, can impact the rate of our metabolism. The heavier you are, the slower your metabolism rate. That's basically what happens. And so if we can start speeding up that metabolism so that your body can function properly at the right rate, then it can do its work properly. There's something called Ervinia, African mango extract. And this is a really exciting one because this also specifically targets the fat cells. So what Ervinia does is it works on two different hormones that are connected to fat cells. One of them is called leptin. And one of the things that happens, again, as we age, as our bodies get out of balance, etc., is that we lose what's called leptin sensitivity. Our bodies become insensitive to this hormone, so the body doesn't recognize it anymore. And one of the things that leptin does is that it sends signals to the brain to say, I'm full, had enough, stop, okay? Yeah? So when that is interrupted, or the body doesn't hear those signals anymore, then it just keeps piling on the weight. You know, and even if we don't keep eating, the body's signals are so out of balance that it just doesn't know when to stop doing all of its stuff. So what Ervinia does is it brings back that signal. It catalyzes that leptin signal, so it strengthens it so the brain gets it, so it goes, oh, great, I can stop that now. The other thing that it does is there's another hormone called adiponectin, and that hormone also lives in the fat cells. When the more somebody's overweight, the less of that hormone they have in their fat cells. The bigger the fat cell, the less the amount of adiponectin. And so thin people have a lot of it. And that is a hormone that regulates the amount of fat in a fat cell. It also regulates the glucose level and the insulin levels in your body. So it's a really, really important one. And what this does increases the amount of adiponectin in your body. What else is in here? I mean, as if that isn't enough, right? Oh dear. Okay. Oh yeah, we have this thing called meritrim, which is it's a combination of mangosteen fruit and one of the thistle family. And again, that is very involved in how our body metabolizes carbohydrates and how it breaks down the food so that our blood sugar is balanced, our glucose levels, our insulin levels are balanced, and our liver works properly. So it's all part of the same picture. Oh, seaweed. Can't forget the seaweed. There is a seaweed extract in here called fucoxanthin. And each of these things that I'm talking about, you can buy, they're available, you can buy them on their own. What's so powerful about this is that when you put them together, the way they work together is so far beyond what one of those things can do on their own. So fucoxanthin is probably one of the most important pieces of what's in BeLean, because what it does is it targets what we call belly fat. As our fat cells get bigger, they get bigger inside and outside, right? So we see it on the outside, but what we don't often think about is that's expanding inwards as well. And so we've got fat building up around our organs, pushing our organs to the point where they're not able to function properly. If they can't breathe, they don't have room to work, and our body really starts breaking down. That part of fat is the most insidious, because it's the one we don't see, and it's the one that causes the most amount of harm to the body. And that's the fat you see around here. Oftentimes, somebody can be quite slim, except they've got belly fat, right? It's common. Most of us probably have a little bit of it. So this fat is actually different to fat that like you have on your arm, because it's kind of what's called intelligent fat. It works in a whole different way, and one of the things it does is it produces inflammation in the body. So it has a whole other different way of working. And so what the seaweed extract does is it targets that, and it actually is able to catalyze a protein in the body that breaks that fat down. I mean, that's one of the most exciting pieces of that. So you can see there's so much to this, and I've just pinpointed tiny little bits. There's so much to this that is, to me, so exciting, because just watching people's results has been astounding. Even people who don't exercise, they don't, eat properly, it still has had a profound effect on people. So not only have people lost a ton of weight, they're feeling amazing. They're energized. I've had people who, get on Body Balance. It is extraordinary. It's an amazing, amazing product. It's something I would not ever be without in my life. My level of health has just gone through the roof since I've been on that product. And I've had people who've been on Body Balance say, oh my gosh, I've never felt this good when they got on this. And what often happens when people get on diets or try and lose weight, it's hard work, and part of the hard work is people get very tired. So this does the opposite. People feel amazing. They feel like doing things. They feel like going for a walk. They feel like getting out and you know, having fun, and it's just a whole different ballgame. So I might just kind of leave it there, and I mean, I have no clue how long I've been talking, but turn it back over to, you want to come back on?
Yeah.